Padme tayo shritva pranamami muhurmuhu. Revered Swami Suhitanandaji Maharaj is the revered Vice President, Senior Vice President of the Ramakrishna Order of Monks, and all the esteemed monks, people from different faith leaders, my dear brother monks, and all the devotees of Scotland, of Ramakrishna Vedanta Center in Scotland. Holy feet of Srimad Swami Suhitanandaji Maharaj, who has kindly agreed to be with us, be in Scotland with all the devotees and the admirers and well-wishers of the Ramakrishna movement or Ramakrishna order for a few days. We'll be having a retreat in Aberdeen as well. So in spite of his age, I am very glad that he has the enthusiasm and also very kindly, compassionately has agreed to be with us for such a long time. He has a very busy schedule. He had been to France. There was a very big interfaith, a gathering of different faith leaders. So we thought, let us also begin with a theme which is very dear to our Ramakrishna order. That is Joto Mat Toto Path. That's the Bengali. Means many pathways to truth, to the same truth. As many faiths, so many paths. So, to the same truth, but also practice them in his own life. In turn, as Swami Vivekananda says, he became a Christian, he became a Buddhist, he became a Muslim, and practiced the sadhana according to their various faiths. Humankind has discovered so many paths which lead to the same goal. And it is not just mere toleration of other faiths. He said toleration is a wrong word. Swami Vivekananda in the famous Parliament of Religions speech which he gave, he said Hindus not only tolerate but accept all religions as true. Toleration means my faith is, my path is right, and I tolerate others. I do not agree with them, but I tolerate them. That's not what Sri Ramakrishna's message was. So he showed that many pathways, there may be innumerable pathways. In fact, there can be a pathway for each person. But all these pathways, if one is sincere to the goal, to the truth that he is trying to acquire, then he will definitely reach. Temperament, depending on the spiritual orientation, depending on the geographical location, ethnicity, racial considerations, every geographical place has evolved a spiritual path to the same truth, the same goal, which will solve human problems forever. An eternal solution to all the temporary problems of the world. You find temporary solutions, but there should be an eternal solution. And when it comes to the eternal solution to our problems, which are of course temporary, the prophets all agree. That is what Sri Ramakrishna preached, that each one has his own path, and each of these paths are equally valid. So as we have revered Maharaj with us, I would not take much more time. I would uh, request revered Maharaj, who has a vast experience of not only speaking on these topics, but meeting people from all over the world, people practicing different faiths, religions, different sects within each religion. Where do they converge? For that, based on his personal experience, we would now request Revered Maharaj to enlighten us and also show us how we, by our own lives, can contribute to the contribute to peace in the world. Internal peace, external peace, of course, is not long lasting. If there is internal peace, then whichever religion, whichever path we may follow, as you saw these wonderful chants which you saw, we have Sanskrit chants, we have hymns, wonderful Gregorian hymns in the Christian tradition, every religion, these prayers in Islam, everywhere the central theme is how to have that internal peace which comes only when you touch the truth that is within, the divine that is within. But the path and the actual experience of that peace is a difficult challenge. Theoretically, we know many things, but it comes from vast experience. Don't touch the table.
No, it's all right. Yes. All right? Sorry. Kachana? Bring it closer. And come. Said it. You said it. Either from side?
Side is like that, side is side is
That will be better. All right. This is all right. Leave it. Leave it.
এটা টাইপ করতে চাইলে এইটা
Okay, ঠিক আছে, টাইট করো, ছেড়ে ছেড়ে দাও।
Reverend Sarvasthanandaji and other monks present here, and along with the Buddhist monks, they belong to our same community. And the Father, who also belongs to God. And especially the other persons who are Father, because he quoted from Swami Paramananda. How this thing came up, this book, Prayers of Paramananda, that it has got some interesting story. You know, Paramananda Swami, while he was sent to America, at that time he was, we can say, even a boy. He was not within his 20, below 30. And he was very handsome and very childlike in appearance. So, Ramakrishna Maharaj, this Paramananda, when he joined, he was sent to Shashi Maharaj, means Ramakrishna Maharaj, so that he would be groomed up nicely. Because he was a small boy, so he should be groomed up in a nice way, so about his own monastic life, about his scholarship, and all the things. And afterwards, our headquarters decided that he should be sent to the West for the propagation of Vedanta. Shashi Maharaj, this Ramakrishna Maharaj, because he had some paternal love towards this Paramananda, naturally he was very, very careful. He cautioned him where you are to maintain distance, how far you should mix. In this way the things were going on. Because Paramananda Swami had to mix and depend on the Western people, naturally he had some moral responsibility to communicate to them some message. So he felt whether there can be some prayer which will be applicable for the monks as well as the householders. Some common prayer which will be for both. So he jotted down some points and sent those points to Shashi Maharaj, Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna gone through them and afterwards chalked them and gave it some shape. And afterwards, according to the local necessities, Paramananda just completed it and published it book, The Prayers. And he quoted from this. So now you can well understand that how we Swamiji, once he was giving a lecture in America, Christ the Messenger. All the Christians, and they were all whites, they were listening to him. They could find that some light coming out from the body of Swamiji. Swamiji got so much just excited or inspired that as if he became one with Christ. As if he became one with Christ. When two sisters, Christine or another, I have forgotten her name, Funky probably, two sisters, they crossed in this sort of wind, storm, rains, reached Thousand Island Park, crossing nearly 100 miles. And while they knocked at the door in that storm, Swamiji opened and the expression that for what purpose we have come, because Swamiji was coming from. Well, we have come with the same impression had Jesus would have been here, because we have heard of you. That is, some Indian yogi has come from India, and he is giving some lecture here. So we have come here with that idea. If Jesus would have been here, we would have just go to him with this spirit, the same spirit we have come here before you. And we are presenting ourselves before you. On what was the reply from Swamiji? Swamiji simply said, if I had the power of Jesus, if I had the power. Since Swamiji has mentioned that Jesus is such a big, I would have just washed his feet not with water but with my blood. So this Christianity, it is with us because Sri Ramakrishna had the vision. One day, in the Mother Mary's baby was there, and Swamiji went to Jyotu Maldik's house, adjacent garden house, there in the wall. And that picture became living. The picture became living, and Jesus came forward slowly and entered into Sri Ramakrishna's cell. So now we can find that how we are all together. About this Buddha, Buddha belongs to us because Buddha became monk from the Hindu community. He is a Vedic monk because while Buddha was there, at that time Buddhism was not there. Buddha came and afterwards Buddhism was created. So Buddha belonged to the Hindu community. He has mentioned a rebel child. He is a rebel child. Why? Because he had to be rebellious, because the Hinduism got totally rotten. They, in the name of yagas and sacrifices, they were doing inhuman torture on elements, man, everybody, especially the poorer section of the society. He came as a redeemer. He came as a deliverer of the poorer section of the. That is not the Sanskrit. He said, and that my mother said, lady said. So there is no difference in the language. If wherever you go, once I had the opportunity to inaugurate one prayer hall in Fiji, Universal Meditation Hall. That was the prayer hall. In that prayer hall, there are 5 pictures were there, 40 photos were there covered. And we different sections of people are invited to come together. We generally in our shrine keep the picture of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Sharda Devi and Swami Vivekananda. These 3 pictures were there. And the 4th picture, that was Christ and Buddha. And there was another picture that was covered. And when it by a Muslim gentleman, Muslim priest, Mullah, he also was there. The father just unveiled the picture of Jesus, and the Muslim Mullah, he priest, he unveiled the picture of what? Because the Muslim community, they do not worship in figure. They don't allow. So what was there? There was written Al-Haq. Al-Haq. What is that Al-Haq? It is one of the name of the Allah. In the Quran, this Allah has been given 99 names. The Al-Haq means the truth. That is one of the name of Allah, and that was written there. And afterwards, they came along with their devotees and admirers in a buses. So when everything was finished, we all sat together, we read out together as we have done similarly from the Quran, from the Bible, from the Gita, from Dhammapada, from all the books they were read, and we afterwards we had some beautiful feast also together. So this is this. Sri Ramakrishna practiced it. And along with it, I will mention one interesting incident which one lady, grandmother, with the grandchildren, she was sitting there, and I probably thought that lady is not in regular visits the shrine. I said, "Do you come here regularly?" That lady said, No. This is the first time I am coming. Because yesterday the father came and he installed the picture of Jesus here. Naturally, it has become a charge to me. So I consider myself that I am coming to the church to pray to Jesus. This is this universal religion. Swami mentioned we shall have to take up the religion to such a level where the Qurans, the Vedas, the Bibles, everything can come and shake hands. This is the thing. So we shall have to, this is called, this as many, as so many. There is no question, as Maharaj has mentioned, there is no question of this different right or old or new, right or wrong. It cannot be. This water. If I say water means H2O, so a scientist from India, a scientist from America, a scientist from Australia, all will say it is like this. Nobody will say water means this or not this. This is called actual science. This is called actual science. So we shall have to present religion in this way. It should be an actual science. Nivedita, once he said, we shall have to establish religion in such a way that as we read physics, chemistry, history, sociology, objectively we shall have to see it. There is no question of belief, no question of dogma, it is a verification. I myself shall verify and I shall see that it is correct and I shall accept it. Religion should be placed in that shape. And actually, if we go through the lectures Swamiji delivered in England, especially in England, the Jnana Yogas and the Raja Yogas especially, you will find that he is talking in the language of science. You go through the lectures, the apparent man and the real man. What does it mean? Apparent man means we have two personalities, each and this is my apparent man. What is my real man? When I shade up these qualifications, these adjectives, what I am? I am a man. I am a man. That is my real man. Swamiji delivered the lectures in that way. This, what is the difference between this apparent man and the real man? We shall have to give importance to the real man, not on the apparent man. Let us, this is called unity, question of unity. Science generally tries to bring some sort of unity, oneness in everything. It is maybe physics, it is maybe chemistry, they want to find some principle. That principle works and it gives diversified form. So they want to trust the principle. Second lecture, Swamiji said, that means evolution of God. Just a thing. It is a revolutionary word. There be any change of God. How God can evolve? God is not changing. Then who is changing? Man's understanding about God is changing. This is called At that time, it was one God had to manifest in one form. Ramachandra, he did not preach like Sri Krishna the Gita. What he did, he simply presented himself. His whole life was the representation of God and nothing else. He did not give any sermon anywhere. Only he lived the life and the people observed and they found this ideal. And they accepted him as a God. Then came Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna, he had a double role. One side, he had to demonstrate what Ramchandra did, that's attachment and detachment, both the things he had to lead in that form life, and along with it, he gave a sermon also, a message for the whole humanity, the Gita, Bhagavad Gita. It is a message for the entire humanity. No nation, no country, no person can claim that it belongs to my property. Each and every person will find you may come to belong to any community, you may belong to any society, you may be Sri Krishna has presented in the Gita religion just as a science. There is no question of mysticism. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avashadayat atmaiva atmanabandhu atmai bodhipuratman. Buddha also said the same thing. Atma devo bhava. Atma devo bhava. So this is in Sri Krishna said, evolution. Then came Buddha. Buddha, he did not hide the swords, no fighting, nothing of the sort, but he has inner strength. He has his inner strength. With this Atma ball, that is this inner strength, inner purity, with that he conquered the whole world. He conquered existing world. He conquered the whole world. And afterwards, next came Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He gave it another dimension, this emotional aspect. We are having some, because it is very difficult to follow life, what Jesus said or what Buddha said. It is very difficult to follow in our relation. We cannot give up those relations. Keeping these relations, whether God can be comprehended. That for that Chaitanya he gives what we call in the Bhagavata, Dasya, Shakha, Vatsalya, Madhu. These four elements are human psychology. We have the father and son relation, husband and wife relation, this parents relation, all sorts of relations we are, friends relationship, so that whether this aspect of human psychology can be channelized towards God, that aspect Chaitanya demonstrated through his life. And in this way, we have find that a new strata of religion is coming up. And next came Sri Ramakrishna. When Sri Ramakrishna came, he gave another aspect, religion. He has taken up religion, as we have mentioned, Swamiji took up as a challenge as a science. You have seen that Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda was never a follower of Sri Ramakrishna. He was always a rebellion child. He was always wrestling. Some English gentleman has written a book. There he has mentioned the fight between, as if two knights are fighting with open sword. Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. As if nobody is agreeing to the other. Whatever Sri Ramakrishna says, Vivekananda simply throws it out. No, I don't accept until unless I see it myself. But he was just like a pure scientist. Vivekananda also was ready, Sri Ramakrishna also was ready. that not to throw it out, but to accept it and find out that I shall not stop until I can find the end of it. A scientist does what? If I give the scientist this piece of paper, he will say, I shall see that what elements are there. Ultimately, he will come to the conclusion that this is nothing but the matter and energy. It is nothing but matter and energy process, it is there. This is the truth. He has reached that truth. The same methodology Sri Ramakrishna accepted, Vivekananda also accepted. That's the reason Vivekananda was, when Sri Ramakrishna said that this God is all pervading, then Vivekananda objected. Then is it God? Is it God? Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, that is God. Well, how is it? See, he touched and he had the vision that yes, it is no more a glass, it is sincerely God exists. Then Vivekananda accepted. The same methodology Sri Ramakrishna also took up. Same methodology. Because from his childhood he is observing his father is worshipping Shalagram Shila, Narayan. He is watching. Then he has a question. Is there God within? It is what is it? It is a pebble, simply small pebble, and nothing more than that, stone. Is certainly God is there? When he has given the assignment to worship goddess Kali, what he finds? It is a block of stone, and nothing more than that. Some carved stone, just like any other statue. Is God is there? If God remains there, they are saying that God is remaining. Let me check and see up to the end. And he did not stop. He struggled, sacrificed everything. As a scientist, sacrificed everything. His family, his social status, ambition, diet, sleep, everything sacrifices, and until the truth is revealed. If we go to the life of we pass through, we shall see how much dedication, how much. They were more than ascetics. Until unless you come to that stage, you cannot find out the truth. So this same methodology Sri Ramakrishna adopted, and he had the vision of Goddess Kali. There, he could have been stopped there. Yes, I have the vision of Goddess Kali, so but a new dimension came up. Because he is observing that I have realized truth through Goddess Kali, but he has a method, another method. She has got another method. They are also realizing God. So, are those paths also equally true or false? Let me check and see. He started worshipping Rama. He started the owls, Vedanta, one after one another. Only with this scientific approach. If there is truth, I shall have to find out the end of it. And gradually, one after another, he could find that this truth was revealed to him. That same reality is expressed through all the religions. And not only that, we see how much he devoted for Islam. While he was practicing Islam, at that time he gave up, removed all the pictures of these Hindu gods and goddesses from his room. And he used to put on just like the Muslims dress. And not only that, he wanted to take the dishes also as the Muslims take. So Mothu Babu had to remain alert that he may not cross the limits. So because Mothu Babu used to look after Sri Ramakrishna just like a boy, small boy. And Mothu Babu used to behave that I am to look after the child. So he is a baby, he cannot take care of himself. I am the guardian, I shall have to take care of him. So with these feelings, Sri Ramakrishna was moving and making an experiment while he was behaving as a girl or Siradika, she looked like woman. It so happened, so metamorphosical change overcame in him that while he was just practicing Siradika, when Mothu Babu gave him the ornaments, the dresses, it was difficult for Mothu. Probably he thought she is a lady. So much prayer he started, Avataro Bodhischaya Ramakrishna Te Namo. Because it is the dream, because God he has so far up to evolve so much. We don't know in the next avatar when he will come, what he or she would demonstrate. We wouldn't survive to live. And another lecture Swami gave. There is macrocosm and microcosm. This is a fantastic thing. This is a pure science. Macrocosm and microcosm. He, in Almora, he had the vision. Almora, one banyan tree was there beside one Shiva temple. He and Akhananda Maharaj, both of them were just resting. And after the meditation, he told Akhananda Swami, brother disciple, Akhananda Swami, this I was in a fix. That means a mystery was not becoming clear to me about this creation. Why this so much sufferings in the world? Why God created this sort of world where people are suffering, people are getting enjoyment, and from unknown source the sufferings are coming, unknown source the joys are coming, happiness are coming. How and why? It is this cause and effect relation, the mystery was unknown to me. Now, here under below this tree, that mystery, that problem has been solved to me. This is the macrocosm and microcosm. That means whatever the principle, the entire universe is going on, in the same principle, every individual also is going on. So when that was revealed to him, he narrated those things to Akhananda Swami. Akhananda Swami jotted down those points in his diary, and those things the same religion. So there is no question of animosity, enmity, nothing of this sort. I remember once, most probably UNESCO Secretary General, she mentioned this thing. We were there. There was some seminar on Swami Vivekananda in France. She was invited. I also was there from Belmont. So there, because it was generally on peace, amity, harmony. Generally, this was the common topic. And there, I talked on Vivekananda. Then they said that Irina Bokova said, that's what no better subject than Swami Vivekananda can be for propagating the peace, harmony, and all the things. And she concluded with a word, a small sentence she uttered, because war is not in the battlefield. come in the society, peace will come in the country. Thank you.
Question answers, 15 minutes. Discussion. So if there is somebody, they can just stand and ask questions. A little loudly.
Loudly, or you can come here and ask questions. Any questions? You have made everything.
Yes.
Come here. You come
a
in
little
front and
loud.
ask a question.
Come
please.
here. They can also.
They can also hear Maharaj can hear.
Come,
Come
come,
here.
come.
Come here. First tell your name.
My name is Maharaj, and so just a small question, Maharaj. You mentioned in the very end that God is evolving, but like personally, I believe that God remains the same, but we humans, like, we keep on evolving, like our faith keep on, like, sometimes like it is going down, or like sometimes we like our faith improves towards God. So basically we the human beings, we evolve rather than the God, like, because God himself, like, that is the trust that okay, God is the same. So is my understanding correct?
God is same. God is same, but our understanding about God is changing. Our understanding, God cannot change. God is always same. But our understanding about God is slowly. As for example, just to think, previously, you have read in the history that there was this a fight between the Muslims and the Christians. That's Holy Papal War. And I read in the book that probably some European king, his favorite dish was the flesh of the Muslims. Then so much hatred, so much hatred. So nowadays, we are not having that sort of hatred because we have evolved. Now we are going to the hotels, we are going to the restaurants, we are going to the airports, we are finding that he is this, he is a Hindu, but nobody we are having any animosity. We are taking food from anyone. We are having the trust and belief on everyone. So this is expansion of the mind. This is a cosmic effect, cosmic effect.
Any other question? Come forward, please.
Come here.
The Zoom. Keep it near Maharaj.
You come.
Keep it nearer.
Come here.
You are born?
And now you say.
Shantanu Sarkar from acting Maharaj. And as Maharaj, you, first of all, Sashtanga Pranam. I think you mentioned about macrocosm and microcosm, and you explained beautifully that Swamiji's understanding of is what. But I couldn't understand what is the relation between microcosm, macrocosm, and microcosm, and what is the salient points which Swamiji
Mentioned there.
realized that message.
For that purpose, individual being. Swamiji has given it the nice expression to Sharatchandra Chakravarti. He said, never make God higher than man. Never make God higher than man. That means nature. This principle, God is that universal, uniform principle.
Partho, come. Speak a bit loud and introduce yourself.
So I am Bodhayan. I was fortunate enough to study in Ramakrishna Mission Devghar, and
Oh.
SUHITANANDAJI is associated with it. And I was fortunate to learn the life of Swamiji Maharaj Thakur. My question is, Maharaj, that you talked about Swamiji being a rebel child, and as a student of learning the ultimate truth, where do we rebel? And like we don't know, right? As in, should we accept everything? Or should we study? What is the sweet point?
And as you are rebel child. He was process to come to a truth. That is the thing. So Vivekananda and Sri Ramakrishna, they were rebelling. Vivekananda is talking about Buddha as a rebel child means for a higher truth, where they will meet together.
Like Vivekananda had Ramakrishna,
Ah.
and Ramakrishna also had Totapuri. And
Yeah, same thing,
so
same thing. They came for a higher truth, common truth, for a common truth. As you student or the teacher, how you are fighting, how many times you defied with him. It is only to call, not to clear. I want to be clear.
You mentioned about how God is evolving now, and how the prophets and monks, they realized how God has evolved
scarcity of peace. Scarcity of peace has come in the society. That's the reason we shall have to forget competition. We shall have to take up cooperation. Cooperation. Swamiji, in his Chicago address, talks something. The beginning of the sentence, that is very, very, I would say, feel that probably Goddess Saraswati delivered that words through his lips. Sisters and brothers of America. The sisters and brothers of America, not knowingly or anything deliberately with that calculation, Swamiji said, simply it slipped through his tongue. And Goddess Saraswati delivered that thing. What was the meaning? The sisters and brothers, the happiest relation in the society. They never run into competition. They will always think for the cooperation. Sister will try to help the brother, brother tries to help the sister. So these relations we should need in the whole world. Oh, sorry.
Maharaj, you spoke about oneness. So how do we apply this oneness in our day-to-day lives so that we can divinize our everyday life and proceed to spiritual like our
Yes. Your mother?
Yes.
Huh?
Shubhana.
No, you are.
Yes,
do
our
you
mother.
have?
Yes, a mother.
Do you have any baby?
Yes, I've got a son, Maharaj.
Bas, finish. That is now. Just to think, while before your marriage, you were a girl. You were a girl, and afterwards you felt I should have a husband. And you have your own choice, or by God's generally we think that marriage is arranged in heaven. So you had your husband. First, so long you were girl, you were his only one thinking, how I can keep myself good, how I can become successful, something like that. The moment you became the husband, your identity changed. Now you started thinking that both of us should become good, both of us should become happy, both of us should enjoy. Next, got the baby. Now both of you are thinking for the baby. Common interest has become the gravitation has changed. First you to second to the third. And along with the baby, along with the family, you are thinking that my father, my mother, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, and their family. In this way, you are expanding yourself. Slow. Ramakrishna mission. Whole Ramakrishna mission, I consider my own. If anything wrong happens with him or him, immediately I say, oh, I am struck. That is oneness. In this process, this oneness, it is a natural tendency of man, but we are not conscious. Instinctively we are following that thing. But if we can do it consciously, then that is called spiritual life.
Just one, Maharaj, Srimad Swami Maharaj Ji will be coming back in the afternoon. We will do it now. So we can continue with our discussion in the afternoon. And so Maharaj, আপনি এখন বাড়ি যাবেন? হ্যাঁ, তারপর আবার দুটোর সময় চলে আসবেন।
Now I shall be back. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Swami Sarvasthanandaji will probably give the presentations.
Now you will continue.
Yeah.
All right.
But their lunch is after
All right. Thank you.
Maharaj will be back at 2. Maharaj will be back at 2. So you all sit down, listen to Swami Sarvasthanandaji. Okay. All right.
Hello everyone, can I please request that all of you please settle down? The program will continue. This is just the Reverend Maharaj just left. Can I please request everybody to please sit down? At the back, please, can I please request everybody to sit down, take your seats. The program is, the morning session is still not yet over. Still half an hour, close to half an hour, 30 to 40 minutes is left. Please sit down, take your seats. Thank you.
A side. ठीक है. Can you hear me? Has everybody settled down? Not physically, mentally? No, it's so difficult because we had a nice retreat just day before yesterday, and with great difficulty. There were 2 sessions, and in the first session, obviously people are fresh, and Maharaj was actually talking of practical spirituality. In fact, the last question, the answer he gave to the last question was the theme of the whole talk, because the solution to all our problems is in the mind. That was the question. Problem starts in the mind and it has to be solved by the mind itself. There is no other way. We create the problem and we have to solve it. The technique is known. All the religions tell us the same technique. There are more than 1,000 types of meditations, different techniques in different religions, but all directly or indirectly lead to control of the mind. So, mind has been given so much importance. In fact, the Buddhist monks who are here, if you ask them, the central teaching of Buddha, he says even the idea of God is secondary. They call themselves atheists when Buddha was once asked, do you believe in God? So the simple answer he gave is, did I say I believe in God? Those people were confused. Then they said, okay, that means you don't believe that there is God. Did I say I don't believe in God? So they were confused, what is this? He doesn't say that he believes. He said, the thing is, whether you believe in God or not, there is one problem which you are facing, for which you have come here, that is suffering. The only sure thing in life is some kind of suffering is always there. If it is not physical, if it is not mental, it is something else, some restlessness, some kind of incompleteness. So that nobody can deny. That's a universal problem. The rich also suffer, the poor also suffer. The rich suffer because of abundance, not knowing how to use his money. The poor suffers because he doesn't have money. But suffering is there all the same. So the idea is different faiths, different religions, including the wonderful prayers, that these are different techniques. When Sri Ramakrishna said as many faiths, so many paths, what he meant was the common problem is that we have not identified ourselves with the truth that is within. It's not that truth is outside of us, it is within us. And that truth, each faith is trying to search for in their own way. Some do it through meditation, some do it through prayer, some do it through reciting hymns. But if you notice one common thing, is everybody is dealing with his or her mind. So there is no meaning to any spirituality if the mind is not controlled. So Patanjali's yoga, the whole yoga is a means to attain to this truth, one of the paths. But it's a universal path. Others may not call it yoga. Buddhism may not give the exact word yoga, but actually it all means the same. It's a path where our restlessness of the mind is calmed, the restlessness is removed, restfulness is achieved, external peace and internal peace. Internal peace results in external peace. We don't understand. All these peace movements, trying to compromise, trying to establish peace within the family, within the social group, within countries, in the whole world, between countries. External peace, everybody is searching for. If internal peace was there, then external peace is an automatic thing. It happens. It doesn't have to be forced upon society. You don't have to even try. If the peace is not there within, then it will manifest itself as peacelessness, first in the family, then in the people around you, in the workplace. So everywhere, the different pathways to truth are different ways to take you back to the source where you were peaceful, where you were one with truth. Somehow you have lost it. And that's the question which was asked. God does not evolve, we evolve. We evolve by coming closer to God who is within us. That's the whole essence of religion. Swami Vivekananda said, each soul is potentially divine. He is potentially divine, he doesn't have to search for God. God is already within him. The different techniques to discover that, what is already there, which has been covered. Sri Ramakrishna was much more simple. He did not talk of philosophy. He just said a magnet is covered with mud. So that's why it's not the bigger magnet, that is God, truth, is not attracting it. But the simplest thing you can do is, the only thing you can do is remove the mud. You don't have to go towards God. God will automatically reveal himself. God who is within. We call him Antaryami. So, Antaryami means, Antar means inner, Yami means controller in Sanskrit. One who controls our destiny from within. But the problem is, we don't give the control to God. We want to retain the control. It's something like you're driving a car and the driver is a very efficient driver, he's trying to drive you and you go on poking, say do this, do that, and then there will be an accident. So our egos are telling or disturbing the whole system. Our journey is disturbed because the vehicle in which we are traveling is controlled by our small egos, our small misunderstandings of our own self, and we do not allow God to manifest, truth to manifest itself. But how is it to be done? Now we'll be very briefly trying to find out practical means and ways how to attain this. That is the real need, that is the real reason why we have these retreats. So when Maharaj discussed the whole thing based on his own experience, let me tell you, you can't get this in books. It has to be learnt from a tradition, a masters who have practiced it, lived it in their own life, have got that kind of peace by living in company of certain people. Revered Maharaj was in the company of Swami Premeshanandaji for 10 years. Apparently, he did just served him. We also serve. We also serve our children. We serve our elders. Sometimes we do very dutifully. Some of them are very, very sincerely serving whomsoever they consider their own. Maybe its own child, or the in-laws or parents. But then after doing all this, there is apparently there is no peace. Now this was the question, exactly the same question asked by Devahuti, who is Kapila's mother, the Sankhya philosophy which Maharaj was mentioning, which is from Sankhya, yoga has come. Patanjali yoga has come. So anyway, so this Devahuti was the mother of Kapila Muni, who was a great philosopher, founder of Sankhya school, which has influenced Bhagavad Gita. All the philosophies of India have their basis in Sankhya. Maharaj also mentioned 3 gunas. It's a let us not go into that philosophy, but this lady whose husband had died, very dutifully looked after the child, educated him with whatever she could, means, because it was difficult in the absence of the husband. And this Kapila, who became the founder of Sankhya, Kapila Muni, he wanted, because the training that the mother gave to the child was according to the scriptures. You know, scriptures are, if you follow meticulously and if you understand them and just follow it without knowing why they say, there is enough wisdom for the child to grow properly and fulfill the purpose of his life. That is what she did. In spite of the passing away of the father, this Devahuti looked after Kapila in such a way that when he grew up, he not only became the founder of a school, he wanted to renounce the world and become a monk. So he was taking leave, but he was kind enough. I mean, he knew it is his duty to make some provisions for his mother. Everything was fine. And after that, he went and asked permission of his mother that I want to go in search of God. You have trained me so well. I'm thankful to you. I've done whatever I could do so that your remaining days, you can live those days peacefully. But the mother said, she willingly told him, you go. It is a story in the Bhagavatam. Kapila Devahuti Samvad. Through conversation in the Bhagavata, the mother asked the son. He said, see, I have done my duty. I don't think I have made any mistake. I have done my duty as the scriptures prescribed. The widow, what the widow is supposed to do, how she gave education to the child, everything he says, I have followed the scriptural injunction. So I don't think I have made any mistake as far as my duty is concerned. She has sacrificed a lot to see that the child grows up properly. So then she asks, because you have so much wisdom and understood the purpose of life, that is why you are going away in search of truth. I really appreciate it. So before going, do one last favor to me. Just tell me, how can I find peace? After doing all this, there's still that restlessness in my heart, in my mind. So have I made a mistake? Have I not fulfilled my duties properly? So Kapila gives her the final advice. It's a beautiful conversation, and according to Swami Ranganathanji, who gave wonderful talks on the SRIMAT Bhagavatam, his one talk has been published in a booklet form is known as the central message of the Bhagavatam. We read Bhagavatam, so many stories are there and we just enjoy, Katha goes on and we quote from Bhagavata, but Ranganathanji understood the central message of the Bhagavatam. Somewhere in Gita, Upanishads, everywhere there is a central message. It is covered with many stories, but you have to find out. The central message of the Bhagavatam, which is there in this Kapila Devavati Samvad, he says, he tells his mother very humbly, of course, he is very grateful that his mother has trained him in such a way that he is able to go on a search of truth. So he says, you see, you have been following all these rituals meticulously. Whatever the Shastras say, Shastras actually begin with rituals, begin with puja, that is just discipline, they are preparatory disciplines. Those preparatory disciplines lead you to something higher. Unfortunately, Devavati did not know that, and Kapila gives that knowledge before he leaves. He said, see, there is the only reason why, in spite of your exemplary life, wonderful service, following the scriptures to the last letter, doing all pujas, rituals, Sandhya Vandana, nothing. She felt that after the passing away of her husband, she should follow the path as laid down by the Shastras. But you all did it. But the only thing that you neglected was the God within. The God within, which can be revealed through meditation, if now in the rest of your life, after having done all the rituals, which have given you physical and some kind of mental discipline, now you should try to search for that same God which you are worshipping outside, doing puja, worshipping the God outside, doing havana, because all these Vedic rituals she was doing very faithfully and teaching the son also. So according to the scriptures you have done everything, but in the process you have neglected the God within. And that is why that peace is not coming to you, in spite of following all the external rituals. So that is why this Kapil Devati, the central message is that this divinity which is within requires to realize that truth. One has to slowly graduate or evolve from ritualistic worship, which is absolutely essential, because if you don't stick to certain routine, mental disciplines, like getting up early, that's what Revered Maharaj was saying, this namaz 5 times. Why 5 times? Is it not enough if we pray once? Why the Sandhya Vandana when there is, and the reference Maharaj gave was one global retreat for religious leaders. Mind you, religious leaders, not devotees. It's meant for leaders who are preaching or different truths of different religions in their own communities. So they gather together for a global retreat on, it's what is in Oxford, on inner and outer peace. The topic was chosen wisely, and there, that is where this ringing of bell was there. So every hour, whatever you are doing, nowadays because of technology there is an app, Wi-Fi, every room, there are 67 rooms in that huge institution. Each one was given a room, they had to come, there were discussions, but one thing I found, which Maharaj mentioned, every hour there will be a chime. It's timed, you don't have to do it. And whatever you are doing, 3 minutes you have to be silent. Our proceedings were going on, like talk was going on, and some of them went on talking, and the Mataji there, she said, can we just be silent for 3 minutes? So first we wondered, it was so difficult for trained people, trained religious, then forget the other people, we should not blame. There's so much of restlessness in life. Maharaj spoke for 1 hour in the morning. You come with so many questions, but try to first make your mind restful and see what benefit you get. It is difficult, definitely difficult. If it is difficult for religious people like us, then how difficult it is for others. But somehow we have to make a beginning. Now, 2.5 hours, everybody was silent. Maharaj even acknowledged, oh, you are a wonderful group. But when the lunch bell rang, you should have seen how the situation changed. In 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, Maharaj said, Eta ki holo re? What happened? Just now, 2.5 hours, they sat so nicely. How could it be washed away? So maybe our teaching is not having its effect. He just went inside and saw so much. At least let the effect be there for 1 hour or 2 hours. Forget the whole day. So then he pointed out in the second session, we had to point out, see how difficult it is. Because we have habituated ourselves to noise, external noise and internal noise. And internal restlessness goes, and it requires a lot of effort to go inward. As Kapila's mother was asking, why am I not getting peace? Because you have focused on doing everything, but that discipline definitely has helped her. Otherwise, she would not have asked this question to her son. But at least she was in a stage where she felt that there is no peace in my mind and I want that peace. That means all this discipline that she did took her to a stage where she was now prepared to practice real meditation. And of course, her son guided her and focus on the divinity within, how to do it through meditation, how to meditate by stilling the waves of the mind. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That is the one sutra which is not only the beginning, but it is the end of Patanjali's yoga. All other sutras are explaining this one sutra. Yoga means rest, making the chitta vritti, the waves, just calming down. May not be 100%, then you would have samadhi, but 5% will bring some transformation in our mind. 10% a little more transformation. That is how evolution happens. So all these processes, all these faiths, in that sense, whatever is suited to our temperament, our shastras in different ways and different religions. Don't think these disciplines just evolved just because the prophet said or just because Jesus said, the biblical teachings. If you see, they all point, all the parables and all the wonderful stories of Buddha, they point to the same truth in different ways to suit the different temperaments. Some may be very prayerful, he may not understand. He may be so gross. For them, Karma Yoga is prescribed. You do the work with attention. You do the work with attention, focus on your job, do your job well. That will lead you to the meditative state. You sing songs. Somebody is very emotional and they can sing very well. So constantly singing, they bring the mind to a state where they can meditate. In fact, that is the goal of all classical singing. That is why all these notes, why there is a strict sort of classification into different ragas and different ways of singing. All the original music, the Drupad music was designed in such a way that it took you towards God. In fact, Swami Vivekananda said, music can be a very effective medium to focus your mind, to calm down your mind. Even he says animals respond to music. So that is the emotional side. When you sing music, when you focus, there is a rigorous discipline involved. Discipline will not lead to meditation, but it will help in meditation. So if one is strictly following the rules of music also, then the emotions and all the expressions, music with, of course, Swamiji says, true music is that which the kirtan music, he spoke of the kirtan music, a combination of, if you see his talks, his conversations on the importance of music in spiritual life, he said the science of the Drupad with the feeling of Kirtana type of music, if both are combined, then he says you will get the highest form of music. Of course, in Christianity also, the Gregorian chants, if you see everybody chanting in the same way, it immediately calms down the mind. Just a few simple chanting here, the Buddhists were there was so much noise. Simply, the whole hall was quiet, at least for that moment. Then again, the internal noise comes out because we are helpless, because we have been always feeding the mind with noise. You can't expect the noise to calm down just because it's not a snake charmer, just say, now you calm down. It's so difficult. So that is the challenge actually. We want a solution. There is a solution. The masters of every religion, every faith have been crying again and again. Same thing is being repeated. In fact, Hriday, who was a nephew and who served, he was a very gross person, always after some external thing, some money, this. He was serving Sri Ramakrishna, but he was not spiritually inclined. And he was thinking that all this crowd is coming to the master because he is telling wonderful things. I don't know what he's saying, but every time he tells something, these big people are coming. That's his idea. Then he said, Mama, if you tell everything if you repeat the same thing, they will not come. Then Thakur got angry. Who are you to tell me? I'll repeat 1,000 times. If it is a truth, it has to be repeated. In spite of repetition, we don't follow it. That is why it has to be repeated. If a child doesn't listen, again and again, Thakur gave the example of a dog. A dog was spoilt. It was jumping on the master's lap now and then. Then one guest who had come, you got irritated. Can you not control this dog? You have to give it a slap every time it jumps on your. Then you see slowly, after many slaps, then the dog understood that my master doesn't like if I jump on his lap. So then it became quiet. So the mind has to be constantly told, and nobody else will do it. Of course, others can point it out to you, but one has to do it oneself, because our own mind is the only person who can control our own mind is our own self. Uddharet atmanatmanam, that is what Maharaj said. It's a very scientific way. You have to raise yourself, that is the mind, by your own self. You can't expect a third person. He may guide you, he may help you, he may give you some mantra, but you have to do it. The food can be cooked, served in a plate, but then eating you have to do. That's what they say, the horse can be taken to the pond. That much effort the guru can do, or the teachers can do, the scriptures can do, but the drinking one has to do oneself. So our mind, when we realize at that stage, when you say many pathways to the same truth, you might think that pathways are different. Pathways are different. Obviously, what is common in this? Then why should we agree with each other? I quarrel, the people, or everybody quarrels because each one thinks his pathway is the best. But it may not be the best for some people. That is the reason why so much of fanaticism is there. When you don't understand your own pathway, the goal is not external, the goal is internal peace, internal realization of the internal truth. That is where all are one. Whether he is a Hindu, as Jesus says, he says many other things, but says kingdom of God is within you. Swami Vivekananda says each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to see that potential divinity is realized by different means. Do it by karma, do it by philosophy, do it by bhakti, and do it by work. By one or many or all of these, and then that is the whole of religion. All other things are secondary. So in that sense, the Bible, the Quran, An-al-Haq, as Maharaj said, that was one of the names of Allah. So, different religions prescribe different paths suited to the temperament, suited to the different spiritual orientation they have, the cultural differences. For example, Buddhists, we had a interfaith, in the same interfaith dialogue, the Jews and the Christians, they said, what is the prayer for forgiveness or for atonement? That's very common in the Jews. You always beg pardon for all the transgressions that you have made in life. So the Buddhist could not understand that. He said, there is no God. Why should we ask for forgiveness? It is our own fault. He was right, because he says there is no prayer where somebody has to say that I made this mistake. Because in some traditions, forgiveness, asking for forgiveness, praying for forgiveness, Kshamaparadha, that stotra, so many in Hinduism also it is there. We pray, oh Lord, I am committing this mistake. Oh Mother Earth, I am stepping on you. Every morning till evening, we have those prayers. Karagre Vasate Lakshmi. There are so many wonderful prayers in Hinduism where you say, you are in my hand, you are the Mother Earth. Before getting down from the bed, there is a prayer that I am stepping on you. Please be kind enough, like a kind mother. A kind mother will not mind if the child steps on. So that sanctity, that every action, every ritual leads us towards that central point. So that is the idea that all religions have their own way of approaching God. There's one beautiful incident in Swami Vivekananda's life. How he was appreciating the Islamic idea of self-surrender to Allah. You see, there are good elements in every religion. So he saw a very old lady, a grandmother, in Kashmir when he was going to Sher Bhavani in the extreme cold. It was very cold. And from a hut, a very, very poor old grandmother, according to the tradition, her daughter had given birth to a small child. The newly born baby she was holding upside down, coming out in the very cold weather. Just imagine. And saying a prayer, which means that Swamiji asked, what was the prayer? He said, if Allah made you, you survive. But if He has not made you, you die. So imagine that kind of faith that every action, the child has been born by the will of Allah. It may be a simple ritual. She might not be aware of the meaning of that self-surrender to Allah or whatever it is, God, to the Almighty, that nothing is in our hand. But even in a small ritual where they say they don't even mind if the child dies, because if that is not the will of God, let the will of God prevail. The Bible also, it's there. Everything that happens by the will of God. That kind of self-surrender. So, Sharanagati, in Hinduism it is known as Sharanagati. You surrender because every time you think you know better, we know better than God, we try to force things to go this way or that way, then suffering comes. We don't know what we really want in life. But if we leave it to God, then peace immediately comes. Immediate peace comes. Because if He is the inner controller, let Him decide. If we interfere in His work, then you will find the problem comes. The ego comes, and then we decide how things should go, not only in our family, but not only in the world, but even in our own family. If you see, trying to impose one's will, how much peacelessness comes just for a little lack of adjustment. Thakur used to say, sure, sure, sure. Mother used to say. Thakur also used to say, mother used to quote. Forbearance was such a wonderful virtue. Titiksha it is known as. If you don't forbear, je shoy she roy. One who forbears only lives, others will be destroyed. We see this living example in day-to-day life. If you are intolerant, you can't keep the family together. Forget society. Sri Ramakrishna's simple message, sha, sha, in Bengali there is sa, sha, there is all are pronounced as sha. Sha, sha, sha. So this forbearance, there are such simple methods in different religions or within our own religion, suiting different temperaments, but the principles never change. Even Jesus will say the same thing. For the Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. He forgave his enemies, the ones who crucified him. That's the height of forgiveness. And we can't even forgive a small word uttered. Then how can there be peace? We don't even have the titiksha to listen to people in our own house, in our own family. Every time something happens, we just lack of forbearance. That's why Thakur said two things. Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother said, contentment, that is another thing. Peacelessness comes because of santosh. Santosher moto gun hoy na. There's no other quality in life better than contentment. Lack of discontentment, immediate peacelessness. Peace comes only if you are content. Immediate result of contentment is you be happy with whatever comes to you unasked for. That brings peace. Immediately internal peace, and when internal peace comes, external peace comes. So I'll conclude now, 12:45 exactly we are supposed to conclude. So we'll wait for Maharaj when he comes. So that will be the final session. So now we can, very quietly, if we eat, it will be nice. It's a request. Just at least for the retreat, eating is to be done by the mouth. You don't have to, just quietly eat. See, let us practice at least. And then we come to the second session.
Any question for Maharaj?
If there is a question, yes. Yeah.
My name is Atish.
Yeah.
I was wondering about the story of Kapila. Sankhya seems to be coming even in Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, Sankhya Yoga. Yes.
I was wondering what Sankhya before Mahavakya or after Mahavakya. Are the Upanishads, because Upanishads, Mahavakya seems to be.
Tattva. Yeah. Yes, Sankhya actually is a philosophy. There are 6 systems of philosophy. Sankhya is one of them. It's their way of interpreting the world. The gunas, all these things are Sankhya. They have their explanation of how the world functions. You can't say it is ultimate, but I just mentioned because it's a historical fact. Kapila Muni is supposed to be the founder of Sankhya philosophy. And from Sankhya, there are groups, Nyaya Vaisheshika, then Sankhya and Yoga. So Sankhya Yoga in Gita is a combination of, it's purely Sankhya, it is actually knowledge. Knowledge about the universe, the knowledge about creation, or knowledge about the goal of life. Sankhya explains, because there is the Purusha and Prakriti idea, which they have born. Purusha is that which is steady, that which is unchanging, which each one of us have to attain. And Prakriti is the changing principle which results in dukkha or suffering. Buddhism also, they say, because Buddha had Sankhya gurus. His gurus were all adept in Sankhya. So there is suffering, the idea of dukkha or idea of change. See, in India, we don't say dukkha, we say anything that changes. You have money, you suddenly lose it, there is a change. That gives rise to suffering. You are happy, suddenly unhappiness, some situation changes. So change is always results in some kind of maybe joy, but at the same time suffering. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for, but that ups and downs, any kind of change is under the dominance of Prakriti. So there are 2 principles. One is Prakriti, which is ever changing, and because of which we are always suffering. And another is Purusha. So identification with the Purusha is the goal of Sankhya and also of Yoga. To realize the Purusha. Purusha means what? Brahman of Vedanta. So Upanishads also mention this. They mention the 3 gunas also. But you have to search for those things. Whereas this Kapila, what he did, he took all these Upanishadic truths. Vedas are the oldest scriptures. So from Vedas he took and classified it into Sankhya. Patanjali classified it into Yoga Sutras, Nyaya Sutras, Vaisheshika Sutras, like that.
Any other question for Maharaj? Yeah. Come on, Gautam.
Yeah, please. Yeah, you can ask from there. Yeah.
Just simple question. You said purpose of life, and does it mean with the end of life, or does it get reincarnated?
Yeah, life according to Buddhism, I said, for them, the main purpose of realizing truth or nirvana, as they say, is to get rid of suffering. Life is not always suffering, we have joy also. But his problem was this change, like he saw a person growing old, he saw a person dying. That brought a change. Na? He wanted to know, if there is so much of things which are going to happen to me in the future. So he started suffering even before the suffering came, before he fell sick, before he became old, because he was wise enough. In Hinduism, we'll say it is because of the past life samskaras, we have the wisdom. Before we really suffer, we start suffering. Means start anticipating suffering. A wise person anticipates, isn't it? He doesn't have to become old to know what is the problem of old age. We see old people around us. We see sick people around us. We see dead people around us almost every day. And still, Buddha, because he could see just one sight, only once he saw, because he was not allowed to see suffering. His father was afraid he will become a monk. But the moment he went outside and he saw the first sick man who was thrown on the roadside and an old man just struggling to even stand, then he asked, will I also suffer? So he immediately anticipated, though he was not suffering, but the idea of future suffering. And then he wanted a solution. Then he found, using the Sankhya principles, being one with the unchanging reality, whether you call it God, Brahman, Purusha of Sankhya, or Nirvana. Nirvana is a state. They call it the state of Buddha, which will ultimately end suffering. So there is no single cause. This changing world itself is suffering. Prakriti, the moment you get caught by Prakriti, Vedanta will say Maya. These are all words for us. We are in Maya. Every minute we are in Maya. Because we are in Prakriti. Have we realized the Purusha? Have we realized ourselves? No. Till then we will suffer. And nobody needs to tell. Even a child knows that. I mean, a grown-up person will know it. We don't have to experience all these truths. You know, when you know that somebody puts a finger in the fire, it's going to burn. You don't have to try. You don't have to make every child go and see. If you put the finger, you can tell him, see, it has burned so many people. If you put your finger, the child understands. So Vedanta also, they anticipate suffering. So it's not that suffering is always there. And now there is no suffering apparently. Maybe there is some mental suffering, some worry, some anxiety in our mind, which is not even known to us. But apparently we are all happy, isn't it? If we are really suffering, we would have been in some other place. So we don't realize that there is suffering, but wise people have to anticipate. Buddha was wise. One suffering, one death, three sides changed his life. He left his palace, left his child, left his wife, left his kingdom and went to the forest. But it may not happen with us because we still think that we will not suffer or we will not die. Okay?
Questions for Maharaj?
Yeah.
Controlling mind.
Yeah.
So suppose
Loudly.
yeah, when we are doing like japa or we are chanting, sometimes I'm practicing. That's if somebody is talking, I'm still chanting. But when I start doing some office work, I'm still chanting, and then I suddenly stop because my mind become concentrated with something. So is it possible to overcome that? Because sometimes I feel that I know that sometimes we can also chant throughout the night when we are sleeping. So why we cannot do it in the office, or
You can.
why our mind get?
The thing is
the difference,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a long question.
Sorry.
I'll give you the gist, what she's saying, that in the workplace, Suppose you have gone to the workplace. When you are in peaceful surroundings, in the home you can chant, you can use these things, techniques to control the mind. But if what about when you are in the actual work situation? So physically, even if you cannot chant, mentally you can. As I told you, this 3 minute, you can even have it on your mobile. I saw. They said it's not necessary for the speaker to tell you. If you put that app on a mobile, every hour it will remind you. Let us start with 12 hours. If we are awake for 12 hours, every 1 o'clock it will tell you, then you be silent for 3 minutes. Whatever work, you just leave. 3 minutes not going to change anything. We waste so many hours drinking coffee, gossiping. Gossiping, we are spending so much time, we don't even realize. So chanting, sit down. You don't need to chant because that is a very gross way. If you have that musical sense, mentally you can do. Because otherwise, what will people think? You just express yourself. You have to be careful about that. So it's just a question of how you chant mentally. Even mantra, you see, once it is given, they tell you should not repeat it loudly. You should have enough, because the subtler the sound, the more powerful it is. Our physical sounds are harmless. Mental sounds are more disturbing because they come from a deeper source. They are difficult to root out. See, that's why if a person is quiet, we think he is very peaceful, but his mental sounds are terrible. So, the more subtle it is, so it has to be, just external chanting may not help. It may help in the beginning, but afterwards the same chanting or the same mantra, that's why they give the mantra. The difference between hymns and mantras are repetitive in nature. So mentally if you repeat, it just doesn't allow the thoughts to come up. So that itself gives immediate peace. One of the most important results or benefits of repetition, whatever it may be, whether it is mantra or whatever prayer like Gayatri mantra, why we say repeat? People get bored. So why should we read? Shall we not say hundreds of mantras are there? Wonderful. Yes, in the beginning it may be necessary, variety, you get bored. But later on you have to settle down to something which will effectively quieten the mind. If repetition, they give so much of importance to repetition. The constant, in Christianity, there is the Eastern Orthodox Christianity, there is the prayer of the heart. They say, how can you repeat verbal? They say, no, it should come from the heart. Slowly it is transferred to the heart. And every time they say there is a prayer, O Lord Jesus, have mercy upon me. O Lord Jesus, have mercy upon me. You can say it once, but if you say it 1,000 times, then it becomes more effective. And then it becomes part of your consciousness. It just spontaneously, like a fountain. It comes from the heart. Then you don't have to utter. The words become subtle. I think it is ready. Any more? Yes.
Last question.
Last.
Yeah, I'll ask from here.
Yeah.
In our choice of words, especially words that sort of borderline patronize.
Yes. See, acceptance doesn't mean, when Swamiji said acceptance, not tolerant, suppose somebody is saying rubbish, you don't have to accept it. See, that would be wrong. He was talking of religious truths. I accept the religious truths if I find they are useful. Say Bible says something. I should not only be tolerant of I should try to internalize those truths. If the Gita says something which appeals to you, which tallies with what you have read in your own religion, then you have to accept. That doesn't mean that everything Tom, Dick and Harry utters If you accept, then it will be very difficult. Because if it is an untruth, how can you should not even tolerate. Forget accepting, you should not tolerate. That is what Sri Krishna tells Arjuna. If you allow adharma to raise its head, you have to not only not tolerate but positively see that that sound is. Yeah. So you have to be careful what to tolerate. When I am saying toleration or acceptance, it is the eternal truths of different religions which are the same. That you have to accept. Doesn't mean you have to accept everything that does not lead you to truth.
Before we break for lunch, Shora will say devotional song. And as Maharaj said, we try to keep quiet and silent while getting up.
Eat quietly, it will be digested much better.
Mike near Srimat Swami SUHITANANDAJI Maharaj will be coming back in the afternoon and he will conclude our session. And I have spoken to Srimat Swami Maharaj's Shabak, and he said there will be opportunity for offer your pranams in a disciplined way to the Maharaj. And after that, we'll have a group photo. And thank you.
So we'll have a concluding song, and hopefully that the concluding song will put you in a mood, a meditative mood, which we should continue till we assemble back.
Pranam Maharaj. So I'm going to conclude with a very short devotional song on Sri Ramchandra. Reverend SUHITANANDAJI Maharaj was talking about Lord Ram as to how he instilled religious belief through his life, through his actions, not by preaching anything. And it's a very small, short bhajan based on him, on his glories. Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ramachandra Krapalo Bhajamana Harana Bhava Bhayadarunam Shri Ramachandra Kripalo Bhajamana Harana Bhava Bhayadarunam Navakanjalochana Kanjamukhakara Kanjapada Kanjarunam Shri Ram, Shri Ram Kandarpaganita Amita Chavi Navanila Niraja Sundaram Patapita Manahuma Tadita Ruchi Shuchi Naumi Jana Kasutavaram Shri Ram, Shri Ram Bhajadina Bandhu Dinesh Danavadaita Damsha Nikandanam Raghunanda Ananda Kanda Kaushala Chanda दशरथनन्दनं श्रीराम श्रीराम इति वदति तुलसीदास शङ्कर शेषमुनि मनरञ्जनम् मम हृदयकञ्ज निवास कुरु कामादि खलदलगञ्जनम् श्रीरामचन्द्र कृपालो भज मन हरन भवभय दारुणम् नवकञ्जलोचन कञ्जमुखपर कञ्जपद कञ्जाहरणम् श्रीराम श्रीराम जय ठाकुर जय